them agreed ransom. Excuse me, y'all. Pardon me. When Alaric was rebuffed, he led his force of around 30,000 men. I'm sorry, I got the hiccups and shit. He led his force of around 30,000 men, many newly enlisted and understandably motivated, on a march toward Rome to avenge their murdered families. He moved across the Julian Alps into Italy, probably using the route and supplies arranged for him by Stilicho, by passing the imperial court in Ravenna, which was protected by widespread marshland and had a port. And in September 408, he menaced the city of Rome, imposing a strict blockade. No blood was shed this time. Alaric relied on hunger as his most powerful weapon. When the ambassadors of the Senate, entreating for peace, tried to intimidate him with hints of what the despairing citizens might accomplish, he laughed and gave his celebrated answer: "The thicker the hay, the easier mode." After much bargaining, the famine-stricken citizens agreed to pay a ransom of 5,000 pounds of gold, 30,000 pounds of silver, 4,000 silken tunics, 3,000 hides dyed scarlet, and 3,000 pounds of pepper. Alaric also recruited some 40,000 freed Gothic slaves. Thus ended Alaric's first siege of Rome. Good Lord, y'all. Let me tell you something. When a man, woman, I don't give a damn. If you free 40,000 people that were slaves, indentured servants, whatever, however the fuck you want to say it, okay, he's going to have their loyalty till death. You do realize this, right? Because that's what the hell that is. He just gained 40,000 people's loyalty, their fealty, right then and there. That's a dangerous man. I don't give a damn what you say. Anybody says. That's a dangerous man, period. Think about that. 40,000 people. That's more than most cities have in population. Okay? I'm not talking big cities like LA or San Francisco or fucking New York. No. Because they got a far bigger population. I'm talking about your average, big, decent-sized city. That's more than most of those cities have. Okay? I don't know the statistics. If I went and researched all this shit, I could probably tell you what cities probably have roughly that amount, and you can compare it. But I've done enough research as it is, so if you really are interested in finding that out, look it up. Let me know. Comment down below. Send me an email. However you prefer to do it. But as it is right now, trust me, I've done plenty of research, and this video is running long enough as it is. All right? Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. The failed agreement with the Western Romans, Alaric sets up his own emperor. That in itself says a lot right there. All right? Alaric sets up his own emperor. Who the fuck does that, yo? Come on. Who has the power to set up their own damn emperor? Basically, he's the puppet master, and that's his puppet. Right? In essence. Okay, let's keep that in mind. All right. So after having provisionally agreed to the terms offered by Alaric for lifting the blockade, Honorius recanted. Historian A.D. Lee highlights that one of the points of contention for the emperor was Alaric's expectation of being named head of the Roman army. A post Honorius was not prepared to grant to Alaric. When this title was not bestowed onto Alaric, he proceeded to not only besiege Rome again in late 409, but also to proclaim a leading senator, Priscus Attalus, as a rival emperor, for whom Alaric then received the appointment he desired. Meanwhile, Alaric's newly appointed emperor, Attalus, who seems not to have understood the limits of his power or his dependence on Alaric, failed to take Alaric's advice and lost the grain supply in Africa to a pro-Honorian Comes Africae Heraclian. Then, sometime in 409, Attalus, accompanied by Alaric, marched on Ravenna, and after receiving unprecedented terms and concessions from the legitimate Emperor Honorius, refused him and instead demanded that Honorius be deposed and exiled. Fearing for his safety, Honorius made preparations to flee to Ravenna when ships carrying 4,000 troops arrived from Constantinople, restoring his resolve. Now that Honorius no longer felt the need to negotiate, Alaric, regretting his choice of puppet emperor, deposed Attalus, perhaps to reopen negotiations with Ravenna. God damn. Y'all, listen. The sack of Rome. Negotiations with Honorius might have succeeded had it not been for another intervention by Sarus of the Amal family, and therefore a hereditary enemy of Alaric and his house. He attacked Alaric's men. Why Sarus, who had been in imperial service for years under Stilicho, acted at this moment remains a mystery. But Alaric interpreted this attack as directed by Ravenna and as bad faith from Honorius. No longer would negotiations suffice for Alaric, as his patience had reached its end, which led him to march on Rome for a third and final time. On August 24th, 410, Alaric and his forces began the sack of Rome, an assault that lasted 3 days. After hearing reports that Alaric had entered the city, possibly aided by Gothic slaves inside, there were reports that Emperor Honorius, safe in Ravenna, broke into wailing and lamentation, but quickly calmed once it was explained to him that it was the city of Rome that had met its end, and not Roma, his pet fowl. What a son of a bitch. He's crying about his damn bird instead of the whole fucking city that got pillaged and looted. What a POS, man. For real. Man, I'm telling you what, these they don't know no fucking, they don't have no bounds, right? This shit still continues to this day. All you gotta do is look for it. That's all I'm gonna say. All right? Now, we're gonna continue on. Writing from Bethlehem, St. Jerome lamented, "A dreadful rumor reached us from the west. We heard that Rome was besieged, that the citizens were buying their safety with gold. The city, which had taken the whole world, was itself taken. Nay, it fell by famine before it fell by the sword." Nonetheless, Christian apologists also cited how Alaric ordered that anyone who took shelter in a church was to be spared. When liturgical vessels were taken from the Basilica of St. Peter, and Alaric heard of this, he ordered them returned and had them ceremoniously restored in the church. If the account from the historian Orosius can be seen as accurate, there was even a celebratory recognition of Christian unity by way of a procession through the streets where Romans and barbarians alike raised a hymn to God in public. Historian Edward James concludes that such stories are likely more political rhetoric of the noble barbarians than a reflection of historical reality. According to historian Patrick Geary, Roman booty was not the focus of Alaric's sack of Rome. He came for needed food and supplies. Historian Stephen Mitchell asserts that Alaric's followers seemed incapable of feeding themselves and relied on provisions supplied by the Roman authorities. Whatever Alaric's intentions were cannot be known entirely, but Kulikowski certainly sees the issue of available treasure in a different light, writing that for 3 days Alaric's Goths sacked the city, stripping it of the wealth of centuries. The barbarian invaders were not gentle in their treatment of property, as substantial damage was still evident into the 6th century. Certainly the Roman world was shaken by the fall of the Eternal City to barbarian invaders. But as Guy Halsall emphasizes, Rome's fall had less striking political effects. Alaric, unable to treat, I think he means unable to meet with Honorius, remained in the political cold. Kulikowski sees the situation similarly, commenting, but for Alaric the sack of Rome was an admission of defeat, a catastrophic failure. Everything he had hoped for, had fought for over the course of a decade and a half, went up in flames with the capital. That's a good point. Went up in flames with the capital of the ancient world. Imperial office, a legitimate place for himself and his followers inside the empire, these were now forever out of reach. He might seize what he wanted as he had seized Rome, but he would never be given it by right. And you got to understand, this dude's about honor, right? He wants it bestowed on him by right, not because he sacked some place, pillaged place, and put a sword or something to somebody's throat. No. He wants it by right because he deserved it, at least in his mind. Okay? The sack of Rome solved nothing, and when the looting was over, Alaric's men still had nowhere to live and fewer future prospects than ever before. Still, the importance of Alaric cannot be overestimated, according to Halsall, since he desired and obtained a Roman command, even though he was a barbarian. His real misfortune was being caught between the rivalry of the Eastern and Western empires and their court intrigue. According to historian Peter Brown, when one compares Alaric with other barbarians, he was almost an elder statesman. Nonetheless, Alaric's respect for Roman institutions as a former servant to its highest office did not stay his hand in violently sacking the city that had for centuries exemplified Roman glory. Leaving behind physical destruction and social disruption, while Alaric took clerics and even the emperor's sister, Galla Placidia, with him when he left the city. Many other Italian communities beyond the city of Rome itself fell victim to the forces under Alaric. As Procopius, in Wars 3.2.11-13, writing in the 6th century, later relates, for they destroyed all the cities which they captured, especially those south of the Ionian Gulf, so completely that nothing has been left to my time to know them by, unless indeed it might be one tower or gate, or some such thing which chanced to remain. Give me a second, y'all. All right. And they killed all the people, as many as came in their way, both old and young alike, sparing neither woman nor children. Wherefore, even up to the present time, Italy is sparsely populated. Whether Alaric's forces wrought the level of destruction described by Procopius or not cannot be known. But evidence speaks to significant population decrease, as the number of people on the food dole dropped from 800,000 in 408 to 500,000 by 419. That's a short span of years, y'all. That's 300,000 people it dropped. 300,000 people it dropped. Oh my God, man. When you look at these numbers, it's holy shit. That's a lot, man. I can't even picture that amount. I can't even picture that number. I mean, honestly, I can't. Like, you're talking about 300,000 people. Okay. You know how the fucking Macy's Day Parade? I don't even know how many people will show up there. Maybe it's 1 million. I don't freaking know. But I'm visioning, okay, a $300,000 people drop. Okay, you're probably looking at, watch the Macy's Day Parade and look at probably, let's just say close to half. Close to half of the people you see crammed in those streets, up in the balconies and all around in New York City. Imagine half of them just disappearing. Okay? This brings it into perspective and it lets you know it's a lot of freaking people, right? That dropped off the food dole. So either they immigrated here or there. I'm sure there's a percentage that did. There's some of them that may have been, who knows, might have gotten killed by whatever reason. Okay? But 300,000 people. Y'all. 300,000 people? Really? That's a lot of people. Wow. Man, I'm telling you what, it really brings it up. But Rome's fall to the barbarians was as much as a psychological blow to the empire as anything else, since some Roman citizens saw the collapse as resulting from the conversion to Christianity, while Christian apologists like Augustine, writing the City of God, okay, that's his book, responded in turn. Lamenting Rome's capture, famed Christian theologian Jerome wrote how day and night he could not stop thinking of everyone's safety, and moreover, how Alaric had extinguished the bright light of all the world. Some contemporary Christian observers even saw Alaric, a professed Christian, as God's wrath upon a still pagan Rome. That's interesting. I never seen that coming. Now, let's go to the next subject. Move to southern Italy, death from disease. That's the next subject. Not only had Rome's sack been a significant blow to the Roman people's morale, they had also endured 2 years' worth of hunger due to blockades and illness. However, the Goths were not long in the city of Rome, as only 3 days after the sack, Alaric marched his men south to Campania, from where he intended to sail to Sicily, probably to obtain grain and other supplies, when a storm destroyed his fleet. During the early months of 411, while on his northward return journey through Italy, Alaric took ill and died at Consentia in Bruttium. His cause of death was likely fever, and his body was, according to legend, buried under the riverbed of the Busento, in accordance with the pagan practices of the Visigoth people. The stream was temporarily turned aside from its course while the grave was dug, wherein the Gothic chief and some of his most precious spoils were interred. When the work was finished, the river was turned back into its usual channel, and the captives, by whose hands the labor had been accomplished, were put to death, that none might learn their secret. Holy shit. Y'all. I don't even know what to say. Now, we're going to talk about the aftermath. Okay, this is the end of it. And then maybe we can recap, maybe discuss some things that came up through this. Aftermath. Alaric was succeeded in the command of the Gothic army by his brother-in-law, Ataulf, who married Honorius' sister Galla Placidia 3 years later. Following in the wake of Alaric's leadership, which Kulikowski claims had given his people a sense of community that survived his own death. Alaric's Goths remained together inside the empire, going on to settle in Gaul. There in the province of Aquitaine, they put down roots and created the first autonomous barbarian kingdom inside the frontiers of the Roman Empire. The Goths were able to settle in Aquitaine only after Honorius granted that once Roman province to them, sometime in 418 or 419. Not long after Alaric's exploits in Rome and Atulf's settlement in Aquitaine, there is a rapid emergence of Germanic barbarian groups in the west, who began controlling many western provinces. These barbarian peoples included Vandals in Spain and Africa, Visigoths in Spain and Aquitaine, Burgundians along the upper Rhine and southern Gaul, and Franks on the lower Rhine and in northern and central Gaul. Now, y'all, that's the end of the notes. Let's discuss this stuff. All right? How much do you believe is true? How much don't you believe is true? I mean, there's limited evidence because this dates so far back, and you know, as it is with anything that you have dating back to medieval times, Gothic times, pre-medieval times, you're going to have limited sources. All right. Majority of these sources are all going to be verbal. Okay. They were all verbal at some point, and they was written down, jotted down in a journal, whatever, a ledger of some sort. So I'm going to tell you right now, y'all, and I think you already know this. When I heard they had a drop in 300,000 people on the food list, okay? On the food list, 300,000 people. Where the fuck did they go? Okay? There's no record or mention of what the hell happened to these people. Did these 300,000 people just decide to go ahead and just say, fuck it, march off and go as far as they could go until they died because they wasn't sufficiently prepared to travel or traverse the natural wilds that they went? Who knows? Or were they just slaughtered? You know, I'll be honest with you. Back in this time frame, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they were all slaughtered. If there was a faction of people that was, obviously against them, and they're traveling, they could have caught them off guard. They could have ambushed them. They could have bottlenecked them into a ravine, a cave system, whatever. It's not out of the realm of reason. Okay? There's a lot of dirty tactics that could be used. All right? I'm not saying that they used them in this case, but, listen. I can't rule anything out until I know a little bit of the facts of the case. And this case is probably going to stay and remain unsolved because nobody truly knows what the hell happened and how it happened except for him and the victims. Whatever victims may have actually survived. And even if they did, they're long gone by now. I can assure you, at this point, there is probably no living people directly involved with that situation in particular. Otherwise, I think this was a good episode. It was very Give me a second. I'm sorry. It was very intriguing, to say the least. I've learned a shit ton on doing this research. And I hope you watch this video to the end. And I hope you realize that I'm literally devoting my time, my effort, into bringing you all something worthwhile to watch. And honestly, if one person out there watches this, I'm happy with that. Understand this. I'm not in this for fame, for clicks. I don't do clickbait. I'm not doing that bullshit. You know, I'm just here to try to educate ourselves, to try to get a hint or a grasp on our people's past. You know what I mean? And when I say our peoples, I mean our peoples as in all of us. Humanity in general. I don't give a fuck if you got a different skin tone. I don't care if you got a different hair color, eye color, whatever, or a different religious belief. All right? We're all in this together. Playing this game of life. Whether we win, whether we break even, whether we lose. I don't know. I can't answer that. Nor am I going to try to. But the point is, you know, you have a lot of these historians, right? According to this, it's historians. One says this, the other says that. So, which do you believe? Or do you believe any of them? That I can't answer your questions because you're going to be the one to have to decipher that. Okay? And if you want if you want to call bullshit on me, please, by any means, go right on ahead. Do your research, look into the subject, and tell me whether I'm wrong or not. Okay? Now, we talked at one point, man, I don't even want to go through these damn notes because it's going to be a minute before I find it, but I did want to discuss that one certain thing. Okay, and I think it was a couple pages back here where we was talking about how much they pillaged and took. Okay, now, son of a bitch, I'm trying to think of where the hell is this? Where are we going with this? I don't even think that's got anything. I'm trying to find it, y'all. Just please bear with me, okay? There's a lot of damn notes here I got to go through. But I'll know it when I see the numbers on here. That's all I need to do is see the numbers. I can't find it yet. But I want you guys all honest opinions. I mean, you're talking about the Visigoths. These motherfuckers, they fought the Huns. Okay? And numerous other tribes and peoples of different foreign lands. But for real? These motherfuckers pushed back the Huns. And I can assure you, if we look into history and we find out the time frame of when Genghis Khan was in power, either this is before or after. It may even be during. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that because I don't fucking know. I didn't even research that part of it. As I said, I have plenty of notes. But the point is, we're going to discuss about what they said about how much they pillaged. Because to me, that was amazing. The amount that they pillaged is... It was just beyond amazing. It's beyond amazing. So, let's go ahead and continue on here. I'm going to keep going until I find that page, and then we can discuss it in detail, because that way I can remember what the hell we talked about. Because I'm an old geriatric fuck. I need reminding, okay? It is what it is. I do not wear adult diapers. So fuck you for thinking that. Okay? That's my point. Here's Where in the, what the hell's going on? Did I? Son of a bitch. Okay, we already know about the whole number figure with the 800,000 down to the 500,000 from 408 to 419. That is some years. So let's give into consideration. Let's give into consideration that, you know, they wanted to be found, okay? If that's the kind of bullshit we're equating it to, and that's what they wanted, then that's what it is. All right? Then that's what it is. But I'm telling you right now, man, I don't even know what the fuck. Where's the start of the damn notes? I can't find those numbers. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm really sorry. But I'm not going to clear back through all these damn notes yet again. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. Now, if you want another part 2 or something like that, you know, help me out with some content so I can go ahead and produce that. But right now, as it stands, I've been on this camera for quite a while. I don't even know. It's a half hour, 45 minutes. It might even be an hour. I don't know. I didn't take track of it. But my point is, and like you all know, it's find your own truth. You don't have to fucking believe a word I say. You don't have to believe any of this information I'm pulling up. All right? The point is, with this subject, there is no guarantee that it's clean. It's not clean cut. It's not white or black. You know what I mean? This isn't monochrome. But I mean, at the same time, think about this. Okay? For all we know, Alaric could have been kind of like, in a sense, a Robin Hood. You know? It seemed as though he was taking from the rich and giving to the poor. You know, so you definitely have that. And, you know, it is what it is. But the point is, y'all, I'm out, okay? This is the end of this episode. If you want more, comment on it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you didn't like. I don't give a shit. I can take criticism. But what I won't tolerate is someone doing things they shouldn't do and causing me or my family or friends to suffer for it. That's beyond low. All because, you know, we all know. Okay? But anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I really do. Because this was a good episode. I feel that I pulled up as much information that I could. And what I didn't, just let me know. Okay? That's all I ask. So in the meantime, I want to tell you guys, from the Trading Post to you, I love y'all. Be safe out there. And as we say, life's not guaranteed tomorrow or the next day or the day after. So you need to live your lives accordingly for that day. Enjoy yourself. Throw a little enjoyment in your life. Once a day. For an hour. 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever. Who gives two shits? It's up to you. But the point is, you guys, that right there was, you know, Alaric's treasure. And honestly, who the hell knows where it's at? I mean, they got kind of coordinates and then they kind of don't. So it's a toss-up. Anyways, I love y'all. Be safe, be careful, live, laugh, and love. And don't ever give up. Because you're worth it. Don't give up. Okay? And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.